Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Flags in a Gym, a podcast dedicated to all things color guard. My name is Eric. I'm your host and resident color guard nerd. And for today's episode, we are recapping the Indianapolis Regional from this past weekend. We're going to be talking about what everyone's doing, how they're doing, and just giving general opinions on it. So sit back, relax, and let's talk some color guard. Okay, before we talk about the regional, I do want to address some comments that I made on Instagram. Um, for some backstory, finals was a tough day for a lot of guards at the regionals. There were a lot of drops, a lot of breaks, and I made what I thought was a playful, funny jabber barb at the situation. It was meant to be funny. Unfortunately, what actually happened is that my words hurt people. It wasn't my intent. I really, really didn't mean to do it. My quote unquote joke didn't land, and people had a rough day, and they did not need me essentially kicking them while they were already down. So I apologize. I apologized on my Instagram stories. I pulled the stories down, and, I just wanted to come here and say it again. I am sorry. Please believe me. I would never deliberately tear somebody down. I love this activity. I love to support people. I love to spread positivity through color guard. And it really wasn't my intent. I was trying to be funny and I failed. So I apologize sincerely. Before we talk about the guards, let's talk about the regional as a whole. So this was a very big regional. So for 2 days, lots and lots of guards. Also, something was going on with the announcer. I don't know if they got the spiel sheets because half of the shows they were not announcing titles. Like the guard was setting up, then all of a sudden it was WGI is proud to present Bellbrook High School or whoever it was. They didn't announce the show name. So I missed a lot of show names because of the announcer. So if I don't tell you what the show's name is, sorry, I just didn't catch it. That was a little strange. We do have a song of the year. It is Hope by NF. If you haven't heard, four guards used it at this regional. And I love the song, but I wonder how many more times we're going to hear it because just four guards at this regional used it. So I'm sure it's everywhere else. We might be seeing a repeat of 2002 at Dayton when everybody did El Tango de Roxanne from Moulin Rouge, or 2007 when everybody did Hide and Seek by Imogen Heap. If you've been around for a while, you remember those years. So we might be seeing that. We might be seeing that again this year. I cannot cover everyone. This regional is way too big, and I don't want to talk for 4 hours, and you don't want to listen to me talk for 4 hours. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to go over the top 3 of A class, the top 3 or 4 of open, with maybe a couple special mentions, and then we're going to cover all of world. And lastly, just remember this is my opinion. I'm just kind of going off of what I see. I'm comparing things to what I've seen before. No ill will, no hate, nothing sent to any of the staff or designers. I don't plan on making any super negative comments or anything, but just know this is all in good fun. I'm just giving you my opinion, and I would love to hear yours. Let's start with Regional A. We'll do that quickly. So there were only 2 units. There was one Scholastic and one Independent Regional A guards. We had Westfield JV and Meridian Independent. They obviously both won their classes. They were only a group. But I do want to say congrats to both. It was nice to see good Regional A shows out on the floor. Westfield, I really liked you. I thought that was especially cute. Keep plugging along. I hope you win your circuit championships in Regional A. I really liked it. I thought it was a very good Regional A show, and I was happy to see Regional A guard in Regional A class. Okay, in Scholastic A, we had 12 guards in finals. We're going to talk about the top 3. I do want to mention real quick Springboro High School. They just made finals at 12th place in prelims. And then they jumped all the way up to 8th place in finals with their really cute rubber ducky show. I thought it was super cute. It took me a second to figure out what it was. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, it's a bathtub. Oh my God, they're rubber ducks. Like, I just thought it was very cute. So, shout out to Springboro. Great job on the jump in finals. Our third place color guard was Middletown High School, and their show was called Every Time a Bell Rings, and it's all about angels. It's a beautiful like sky heavenly floor that fades to white and a nice bright yellow, like the sun is in the back right corner, and then they lift up the corner of the floor with a big pole, so the floor is lifted. They're in all white, and they use a lot of voiceovers from the movie It's a Wonderful Life, the old Christmas movie, where the guardian angel comes down and helps the man, find the true meaning of Christmas. They use a lot of voiceovers from that. So every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, and I'm your guardian angel. I'm going to help you. And I liked it. It was a cute show. They have lots of nice flag moments. I think that was my biggest takeaway from them is just how good they are on flag. And At the very end of the show, they have a soloist that tosses a flag and does a front walkover. Like, it's insane. So, great job, Middletown. Keep it up. Second place was Carroll High School, and they are doing an Under the Sea show. They didn't give the show title. They just said they're like WGI is proud to present Carroll High School, and they have a beautiful purple floor. It's mostly purple with jellyfish props. There's five of them. There's a big one in the middle, and then four smaller ones in the corner that are probably like beach umbrellas with cool material hanging off of them. And then they have a huge sheer backdrop of pink, white, and purple. It's a really pretty setup. They use the tentacles to spin, like they'll pull a tentacle off of the jellyfish and, they'll throw their rifle around it, toss it around it real quick, and those kinds of cool things. They have a beautiful blue flag feature in the middle of the show. And then they end the show with a really cute pink flag feature. So it's a very cute show. I think once they clean it up, they'll do very well. I believe they are going to Dayton. So I know this will at least make semis. I know it's so cutthroat to get into finals. And, there are many Scholastic A guards that miss it by hundredths. So I'm not going to say that we'll see you in finals, but this is absolutely makes semis. Absolutely. Easily. First place was Larry Ryle High School. And if there are any of the members listening, please correct me. I don't know if it's Ryle or Riley. I've heard it pronounced both. The announcer at this show kept saying Ryle, so I'm assuming that's the correct pronunciation because I felt they would have been corrected if they had said it wrong because there was an issue with the last regional with Shenendehoa, which is always a tongue twister for announcers. I'm not sure of the name of the show, but it's basically like curtain call or something. And they have five like theater curtains set up on the floor, one in the middle, and then two on each side, kind of like on a 45. And I'm sure you've seen the reels and the TikToks flying around that WGI's posted. You'll see, there's a rifle that's TikToking back and forth through the curtain, and then the girl pops through and then she tosses this five and catches it. This is them. It's an excellent show. Their rifles are very strong. I expect this to do really well at Dayton. I just think they have a great foundation, and with the weeks left to clean and get better, they're going to be killing it at Dayton. They break the show kind of into three movements, and the opening one is kind of like a comedic and over the top smiling moment. And then the second one is more of a ballad moment, and they come out with like some longer skirts on, and it feels very dramatic. So I feel like they're taking you through the various types of shows you would see at a theater. Like you might go see a comedic play, you might go see a dramatic play. So I like that they play with that. And then, they're ripping the curtains open and they close them, and girls are behind them, and then they're not behind them. And I think it's almost intentional. Like you hear the sound of the metal curtain rings scraping across the bar, but it actually adds a really cool effect to the show. Like, they're not quiet curtains. They sound like if you were to rip your curtains at home open, that shh sound. And I like the effect it adds. The final movement, they start spinning flags with letters on them, and they're all upside down. And, obviously you're like, oh, they're going to spell something out. What is it? But I spent basically all of prelims. I'm like, why are they upside down? The letters are upside down. I don't get it. I mean, clearly they didn't put their flags on wrong because every single flag is upside down. So instead of just taking it and enjoying the show, I'm like, why are they upside down? Why are they upside down? I couldn't stop. And then they end the show and they hold their flags, with the silk out, but the pole is up, like upside down. And it spells out final curtain call. They had a minor slip up in finals where they accidentally switched the F and the N, so it was Niffle curtain call, which is kind of funny. Because it's just a minor little stupid mistake. But I do really, really, really like this show, and I know they're going to be at more regional, so I'm going to try to see them as much as I can. And they are going to Dayton, so that'll be very exciting. So good luck to you all, Riley Ryle High School. Please help me. Let me know what it is. Moving on to Independent A. So there were four guards in Independent A, so we'll cover them all. Fourth was Indiana University, and they're doing a show called The Power of Five, and it's about witchcraft. They have these cool triangle props that they use, and it's all about the five elements of witchcraft: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. They have a flag ensemble that breaks up into like different pods of the elements. They all have like fire has a red flag, water has a blue flag, air has a lighter blue flag, and whatnot. And then they do the flag feature with those symbolizing each element. The uniforms are cool. I saw them in a TikTok before I actually saw the show because I was a little behind. And I thought they were doing Six, the musical, just because it looked very Anne Boleyn inspired. If you've seen the musical, you know what I'm talking about. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is them. Oh, they're doing witchcraft. So congrats to them, fourth place. Third place was Collage A, and they just show Where the Sidewalk Ends. And this one was nostalgic for me. I have 2 children. My son is 7, almost 8, and we read every night, and A Light in the Attic and Where the Sidewalk Ends are 2 books that are in our rotation. So we'll be reading poems at night, and I got so excited. I was like, "Come here, look at this." And he was like, "Oh, they're doing the poems from the books." And he started reciting them. So they have like a simple musical track, and then they have a long voiceover of somebody narrating the poems, but they're not like straight narration. They're almost kind of like sing-songy. And it was really cute. And their flags have the doodles from the books in on them. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I hope they do this one. I hope they do this one. But obviously they can't do all of these poems. So but we were reciting boa constrictor along with the show, so that was a lot of fun. And it's a fine show. It's a decent A class show. It's not going to win at finals or anything, but I like it that it's a nice, sturdy A class show. Okay, and our second place guard was Purdue University, and they are doing a tango style show. They're using Libertango, which is a very common tango piece. You've heard it. When you hear it, you're like, oh, yeah, I've heard this. It's been used in color guard a lot, it's been used in movies for tango scenes. Very, very common. And they have a black floor with red intersecting lines all over it, and their uniforms are red as well. And they use the lines very well for staging. They have flags with white, and it looked like green. It's the flow camera. I really can only go off of what I could see, but they have lines on the flags that mirror the lines on the floor, and it's just a good overall A class show. I liked it. It was consistent through. I didn't see anything that was like super notable that jumped out, like no crazy solos or anything like that, but they seem like a very solid guard all the way through, which is very good. Congrats to you all. First place is Homage Independent, and they are a first year guard, and this is very good. It is well designed. I know the designer. He actually is the director for Bellbrook High School, the Scholastic World Guard, Sheldon Apo. And yeah, it's just very well done. I was shocked. I thought they would be further ahead score wise. There was a good separation at finals, but in prelims, I'm like, wow, this is kind of close. I would be careful if I were them because they might be teetering on that. Do we move you to open class? I don't know. Like they might be teetering on that edge. It's very good. It's very well designed. And the guard as a whole is strong, and the weapons are very strong. They're in these brown uniforms. You've probably seen the TikTok. The boys are in like the old school newsy paperboy hats, and the girls are in like the very standard 40s dress, with the tight bodice and cap sleeve. It's very well done. It's beautiful. They came out and I'm like, wow, who is this? I'm like, I don't recognize this name. So I went and researched and found out they're a first year guard. And I'm like, this is crazy impressive for a first year guard. So if they stay in A class, they will absolutely be in finals. We'll see what happens. I don't know all the ins and outs of promotion. I know there's like the 3 judge rule and there's a whole lot. WGI actually just recently published a video about this. So if you're interested on how you can get promoted out of your class during a regional, there's a whole like 3-minute video kind of breaking it down for you. And I'll try to post it on the Instagram too. Good luck to the independent A guards. Amaj, unless something happens, I'll see you in A class finals. It's that good. Moving on to Scholastic Open. So there were 10 guards in finals in Scholastic Open. I'm going to cover the top 5. There were a lot of shows. I think there were 13 or 14 in prelims. And due to what I'm assuming is the base score minimum, like you have to get a certain score to make it into finals. Because usually with Open, they take everybody with how WGI works. So I think some of these guards just didn't hit the base score minimum. So that's why they weren't in finals. I'm going to start with 5th place on this one because I felt like Brownsburg really needed to be mentioned. They're doing "You Raise Me Up" by Josh Groban, and they have ladders all over the floor. So if you saw a show with if you saw a TikTok or something with a guard with ladders, this is them, and this has incredible potential. They have these ladders all over the floor that they put up and down, and then they set up and they do a flag feature on the ladder. Not like standing on the bottom rung. No, they're sitting on the top, and it's like a 6-foot stand up ladder. These are legit ladders. This is not like a little dinky step ladder, and they're sitting on top and they're spinning, and then they throw this one-handed 45 that goes over them and they catch on the other side. And I could not do this. One, I'm terrified of heights. I cannot even climb. I can't climb a ladder. But two, that would scare the ever loving crap out of me. So kudos to these kids because this is incredible. Like I said, it needs to be polished up, but the potential is there. I think if they can clean and solidify, they could really jump. and make a splash at Dayton. They bring out the ladders. The equipment's already hidden, like clamped onto the ladders. So like, they just kind of come out and set up some ladders and a couple weapons and they start going. You're like, where is everything? And then this flag feature, everything just kind of keeps coming out of the ladders. It's really cool. I like the take on it. Yeah, I wanted to talk about them because I really liked the idea. Fourth place was Pendleton Heights, and they were a finalist from WGI last year. And I didn't get the show name, but I believe the song they're using is called "The Sparrow" or something like that. I feel like that's what they're using. They use a bunch of sticks and twigs to symbolize a nest in the back right corner, and then they'll pick up some of the twigs and spin it alongside of a rifle or something like that. So they'll have a twig in one hand and a rifle in the other. They have two extremely talented rifle spinners, and I think one of them has a very big following on IG. I feel like I follow her. I don't know her name, so I apologize. They are the standouts of the show. It's a cute show. I liked it. It's fairly clean. I don't know what they do to get to the next level, but I liked it. I thought it was a cute show with two incredibly talented spinners. The entire guard is talented. Let me rephrase this. The guard is very talented, but they have two superstars that stand out, and they throw lots of cool tricks, and they're pretty solid with them too, which is makes it even better. Third place was Westfield High School. Once again, I didn't get the title, but the show is kind of about the struggles of being a woman in today's society. They have 3 backdrops. They're like thin, like vinyl props that stand really tall that have various people all over them, mostly women. I feel like I saw a couple of men. I apologize if they were not. I'm looking through the flow marching camera, so please remember that. I don't know why there would be men on them, but I just feel like when I was looking at the pictures, like some of these look like men. I couldn't tell. And along the floor leading up to the props, they have like a bunch of words, that women would hear, oh, like I remember seeing diva, and I think I saw like talks too much, things like that. So it's like these notable women, and then on the floor, all these like derogatory words that people might say about them. They have lots of voiceovers. There's Marilyn Monroe, Michelle Obama, Madonna, Malala Yousafzai, and as the people are speaking, they have flags that open up and it has that person's image on the flag, which really helps, explain to the viewer, this is who's speaking if you don't recognize the voice. The flow cameras are not the best. So when Madonna was speaking, I'm assuming it's Madonna. I could be wrong, but I was like, I recognize the voice and I think that flag looks like Madonna. It's kind of hard to tell when they're spinning it. So this show probably makes way more sense in person than it does on camera because you can see things clearly. The end of the show, they use a chunk of the America Ferrera monologue from Barbie about how hard it is to be a woman, and I think it's a very important message, especially now. So, so I'm glad that they are putting this out on the floor. Um, they did have a tough run, and it started from the beginning, and we've all been in that show where the opening soloist drops and we all just kind of panic, and they held it together for a while and then it just kind of snowballed. So they're going to fix it. They're going to get back in the gym, fix things and get better and clean it up, and they're going to smash it next time. They are. Second place was Lockport Township. So this is a promoted guard. They were second place Scholastic A at Dayton last year. They were second behind Arlington, and they have really upped their game this year. Once again, I'm sorry, I don't have the show title, but they have I feel like it's thorns and vines, kind of like written or painted all over the floor, like it's a white floor with these dark green, brownish vines that are just kind of like tangling everything. And their uniforms are the skirts are tattered. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, is that they're, trying to fight through like thorny bramble bushes, kind of like things holding you back. This is me reaching here. So can you feel the reach? I think I pulled a muscle. Um, they have, I believe, 6 platforms on the floor that sit flat. And then throughout the show, they start tilting the back end up. So they eventually get to like a 45-degree angle, maybe even a little steeper than that. And they keep creeping them up. And then in the middle, they have a chain flag feature. And I have not seen a chain flag feature in indoor. I don't think ever. And if you don't know what a chain flag is, it's like a swing flag, but it's not on a pole. It's on a weighted rope. So you put it on a rope. And then at the very end of the rope, you put like 5 or 6 heavy washers to give it weight, and you swing it around. Like you would think like a jump rope. Like if you held the middle of a jump rope and swung it around so the handle is at the end, just swinging around. That's the idea. Um, I've seen them used a lot in outdoor where they'll stuff the flag like in their pants and they just kind of rip it out and start swinging it around. So I was like, wow, like I haven't seen a chain flag in forever. So that was cool. And they also had a tough run. But this could be very successful once cleaned up. I feel like they understood the assignment of moving to open class. I mean, clearly they came in second at the Indy Regional in open class, which is no small feat. So very good for them. Once they get cleaned up and tidied up, they could be doing very well for themselves. So kudos to Lockport. Great job on your transition to open class. First place, we have Noblesville, and they were by far the best of the class. I feel it's kind of like a running theme here through all of the classes. It's where I feel like Larry Ryle was far and away the best in Scholastic A, and then in Independent A was Homage, and now Scholastic Open, it's Noblesville. They are just very polished. It's very well done. They're doing a 12-step show for like, addiction and recovery, and they have like a little small staircase that sits in the front left, and in the back right is like a bar, and they have somebody just kind of slumped over there, and then in the back left they have something I don't know what it is, but it looks like some sort of light up thing. Maybe it's meant to look like the bottom of a glass. I don't know. Maybe somebody can help me out here. I don't know what that prop is supposed to be, but they have these burgundy flags that are kind of staged on the floor. The flags are oddly shaped too. I don't know if they're just smaller on the pole, but I'm looking at the flags. I'm like, they look off for some reason. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, when you see color guard, you're used to seeing these big silks and I'm like, these look like postage stamps on on a pole almost. They spin them beautifully. They work. But I'm curious if that's a design choice by on purpose. They pull out chairs where the voiceovers are like, "Hi, my name is Eric, and I've been an alcohol, and I'm an alcoholic, or I've been in recovery. It's been 12 days since my last drink, or whatever." And they don't just do drinking; they talk about drugs and other things too. And it's really cool. It's really well done. Like it's extremely thought out. It's polished. This will once again do well at Dayton. I mean, if they continue to improve, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, it's very good for right now. I mean, we're still in February, so as somebody I was speaking to called it "Figure It Out February," right? Where guards are trying to figure out what they want to keep, what they want to change. So Noblesville, I love it. Keep pushing along. We will see this in finals, barring some like crazy like 15-point penalty in prelims or something like that. We're going to see this in finals. Moving on to Independent Open, there were 6 guards. I'm gonna talk about the top 4. No disrespect to the other 2. I was only gonna do top 3, but then I'm like, well, Collage is there, and they were 4th place in Dayton last year, so I should mention them. Plus, I feel like their show is very topical. So, I will say 6th place was the Magnolia Project. They were the ones with the big metal rabbit on the floor, which I had no clue what that was about. I'll be honest. I had no idea what that show was about. 5th place was Top Hats, and they did, see, I lied. I'm just gonna go ahead and do everybody real quick, because I feel bad excluding the 2 guards. Top Hats did, kind of like it's a sink or swim show where you kinda get swallowed up by, like, the waves. They had some really cool effects to generate, like a maelstrom swirling, like a big stormy, wavy sea. Top Hats was messy, but I'm not worried about them. Top Hats seems to be that slow burn guard. They always seem to come out at these regionals and play slow, and then they get to like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before Dayton, and they click and they make finals every year. They're solidly in finals, so I'm not worried about them. I know they're going to pull it together. 4th place was Collage, as I mentioned, and their show is called 451, and they're doing Fahrenheit 451 about book burning. And like I said, it's oddly topical with everything that's going on in the world right now. They have a lot of voiceovers that I'm assuming are lines from the book. I have not read the book. I feel like I read it my senior year of high school, but I graduated almost 25 years ago. And let's be real, I don't really remember what I did my senior year of high school if it wasn't color guard. Um, so they have lots of voiceovers. The voiceovers are strangely delivered. I don't know if the performers did them or they're clearly not from a movie. Like an actor did not do these. And it is a little distracting. The lines feel very stiff and not like an actual human doing them. But maybe that's intended because they do kind of switch to like an AI feel where technology is taking over midway through the show. So that could be intended. I will say the show feels a little slow at times and it needs an injection of speed to kind of liven it up. But that also could just be the loss of energy through the camera. If you've ever watched in person and then you watch a show that's videoed, you know what I'm talking about. Like You'll watch a local circuit show, or, if you're blessed enough to have one of these guards in your local circuit. Like, could you imagine being in Pride's local circuit and seeing them every week? And you see that up in person and you're just like, wow, wow, wow. And then you go and watch it on Flow and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. Like, there is a loss of energy there. And that could be what I'm seeing. Because the camera's way up, it's stagnant. I don't get to see the performers up close. So I'm going off what I see. Third place was Lavoot, and the show is called Maybe It's Simple. And somehow this is about poetry. I don't get the show connection. It's a mostly white floor with all white uniforms, and they have this voiceover in the beginning talking about poetry. And I don't get the connection from the monologue to the rest of the show. That's really my only issue with the show. The show is great. It's a slow burn, so it starts kind of slow, but then it gets better and better and bigger and bigger, and like I said, it's a slow burn. It keeps building and building and building and building. The beautiful flag feature with, flags, they have streaks of pink and gold and purple in them, they each have their own individual flag. But by the time you hit the middle of the show, like, they are going full force, weapon tricks galore. I mean, like I said, it's a slow burn. So once you get through the opening body statement, then they have a solo flag that opens up slowly and does a toss, and then they start to introduce weapon, they introduce more flags, and it just continues to build, continues to build, continues to build. It's very well done. It's Lavoot. We expect that. I honestly thought it would have placed or at least scored a little higher, maybe not placed higher, but at least scored higher. Um, but we'll see how they adjust to judges' commentary and see what they do to change it up. I don't think they need to change a whole lot. Like I said during the Salem Regional, sometimes I don't get show concepts, and that's nothing on the guards. That's on me. If you don't hit me over the head with it, like a sledgehammer, I'm not gonna get it at times. I mean, maybe I'll get lucky. I'm like, oh, I figured this one out. I don't get the connection to the poetry talking at the beginning to the music afterwards and kind of where they go. So, once again, Lavoot, if anybody wants to message me and explain to me, I'd love to hear it. Please, I will admit that when I don't get something, so please explain it to me. I would love to, to love to know. Second place is Revival, and their show, I have a show title, is called Transcendent. I was like, I have a show title. And I had a show title for Lavoot too. It's called Maybe It's Simple. Um, but this is a Egyptian feel, with the body and the music and the costuming, but they're doing the Fibonacci sequence. So if you're looking straight down at the floor from the top, it looks like sand dunes, like maybe from the Sahara. And then over it, it very faintly is the Fibonacci ratio, the symbol. Um, and if you don't know what that is, the Fibonacci sequence is a mathematical sequence where you take the numbers and you add them to the next number. So you have 0, 1, and then 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8. And this is pertinent because during the show, you'll start hearing these numbers and voiceovers that go 0, 1, 1, 2, and they keep going, 8, 13, 21, 35, or whatever. Whatever. I'm trying to do quick math. I really like that they look nothing like last year, and I do not mean that in a mean way. I love guards that mix it up and do something different. A lot of guards tend to come out with the same kind of vibe, same kind of show each year. I love it when they just do something different, and this is different for them. Last year they were the Northern Light Show, which was beautiful, by the way. I love that one last year too. So they open up with like a teal-ish flag with something on them. Like I said, the flow camera sucks. So Revival, tell me what's on your flag. I'd love to know, because I couldn't figure out what it was. And this one is also another slow burn that gets better and better, just like Lavoot. By the middle, like, they're rocking and rolling with their weapon tricks. They have a very cool moment where they do this like slow lean back, like a back bend across the floor. Like, it starts on the right side of the floor and goes across, and they lean back, for like 4 counts, and then they collapse into the floor, and it ripples across into a huge rifle solo toss in the back corner, who cracked it. And that was a super cool moment. There was a part where a gold banner walks across the floor from the front corner with a dancer in front of it. I don't know what that's supposed to represent. It's just like this light gold banner, and a person's just kind of dancing in front of it. And then it gets to the other corner of the floor, like the back right corner, and then it rips apart. And then the rifle feature, or the rifle section, starts. I don't know what that was supposed to represent. It seemed pertinent to the show. Then they have a cool rifle ripple that leads into a flag feature with really gorgeous purple flags. I believe it's an African violet that's printed on it. Granted, like I said, flow camera, but I was trying to watch the silk go around. I'm like, that looks like an African violet. So I do think they could beef up that ending flag feature a bit. It feels kind of wah wah, especially with what everything that came before it. If it was my guard, I'd probably beef that up. It's not my guard, so they can do whatever the hell they want. I'm just telling my opinion. Please don't hate me. But I do like the show a lot. I do like it. I love the music. I love the vibe they give. I love the attitude and the energy. Yeah, very cool. First place was Phoenix Independent, and their show is called Reflections. They were the first guard that we saw using the song Hope by NF that we talked about earlier of the Song of the Year. They have words all over their floor and 12 giant mirrors, and they have words all over their uniforms too. And the mirrors are so freaking cool. They add so many levels and so many effects to the performance. They start with them all connected in three rows, and they're all hidden behind them. And there's two dancers in the other end of the floor, and they work their way over. Um, they do so much with the mirror when they just pick them up and they pull them across the floor, but they're like maybe an inch off the floor, so you can't see that they've picked them up, but they're just kinda gliding across the floor and the words are reflecting. It's such a cool effect, and they have words that are written backwards. So and then you put them in the mirror and they it's a like I said, it's a cool effect. They add so many layers. It sometimes doubles or triples the numbers of the performers the way they stand in front of them. So you have like a solo rifle person standing in front of one, but it looks like two people spinning. So it's like they almost duplicate all of their equipment lines. Again, like Revival, completely different feel from last year. Love it. Um, there's a great moment where they play with density in the front left corner where the entire guard is in there and they're spinning and they're super cramped, adding into the difficulty. There is an odd section in the middle where they have like a ballad moment where the song kind of cuts out and the show just kind of feels like it loses momentum there, and then it comes right back with the big hit. It's in the song. Warren Central uses the song as well, and they have the same part of the song in their show as well. And it just feels like in this show, we're just kind of like you're going, 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 and it's kind of like it kind of stops, and then it goes, 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 goes again. So it's maybe something they're going to look at because I felt like there really wasn't anything there to keep my attention, so to speak. They moved the mirrors to the back corner to form a wall. And during the 30 years section of the rap, I don't know the words, but he's like 30 years of this, 30 years of that, 30 years of this, 30 years of that. Flags just keep kind of getting chucked out from over the back the mirrors from the behind them as they build into a flag feature. Really cool effect. I mean, just because it just keeps coming because the song keeps going 30 years of this, 30 years of that, 30 years of this, 30 years of that. And flags just keep coming and coming and coming. Very, very way to capitalize on the repetition and the build of the song. And then after they're done, they throw them back. It's an excellent show. This is going to do well. One of my friends was like, they should get bumped to World. And I'm like, I don't know about that just yet. Like, they mean like at the regional. And I'm like, I don't know if we're at that point. But I think they want them out of their class. And they're like, I don't want to compete against them. Move them to World. Speaking of world class, let's move on to world because we have 13 guards to get through. So, with world class, we see a lot of units struggle when they transition from open to world. It is a very hard jump because you're moving to the elite level of the sport. A lot is expected out of world guards, and I think that's why you see such a large swath of shows. Some guards just put out these massively, wildly innovative shows, and other people are just putting out, solid, great color guard shows. It's just tough, and I think one of the keys to world class is making a complex show without making it look complex. You can't really just put a good old fashioned guard show out there with higher tosses. Like, oh, world class. So, okay, all our sixes are now sevens. We'll add an extra turn. That doesn't work. That's not how you make the transition to world. I think design is really where you have to pull your weight in world because I think equipment is pretty level playing field. I mean, you could take a spinner from Pride and then take a sprinter from I don't know whoever's ranked 15th right now. We'll just say it's Elevate right now. I mean, you look at the spinners on Elevate and they're incredibly talented spinners. I mean, you have the guy that does the front flip off the off the bridge, and they have people that They can crack sevens just like the people at Pride. So I think for the most part in world, you have a level playing field ish with talent, and it's designed where the guards kind of take hold of the class. And speaking with, just kind of make taking a complex show and making it not look complex and making it look easy. Some great examples are Pride this year. I mean, we're going to talk about them later, but I think they're a great example of that. Arcadia High School from last year, where they had the black and white board props, all the prop manipulation they did and having to get them around the floor and use them and incorporate them and make it look effortless and make you not realize that they're being moved around takes an incredible amount of planning and strategy and whatnot. And they made it look easy. And that's what I'm talking about. It's a super complex show that didn't look super complex. And even Avon as well from last year. That was a super complex show that looked simple and it was beautiful. So I think that's what I'm talking about when I say developing a complex idea without making it look complex. And I'm going to stop saying the word complex because I feel like I've said it 60 times now. So let's start with Scholastic World. Some of these we are going to move a little quickly through just because I can already see the time on this recording and I have 13 cards to get through. um, Centerville High School was ninth place. They moved up from Scholastic Open. They were second place last year, and their show is titled "The Artist's Odyssey." So, like odd, like as in strange. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get this. I was watching this, and I'm like, "What is this? I don't get it." They have an all-white floor with bright pink uniforms and three panels that open up throughout the show. And, I watched it again, on the replay, and I'm like, "This show is really odd and really strange." And then it kinda clicked with me. I was like, "Oh, maybe that's kind of the point." Like, I think this is meant to be just a weird show. I think that's, like, the concept. Um, there's not a ton of content in it. It feels more like performative art rather than color guard, if that makes sense. I mean, they have color guard moments, but for the most part, like, it's just I don't know, I feel like it's meant to be weird. And, it's such a 180 from last year, where they did the Irresistible show where they were lamps and they had the moth come out. Like a very clear concept that I thought was intellectual, that had a great, like, aha kind of I get it feel. And this, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, the kids are talented. They had some great weapon line moments, but the show's weird. I love you guys, but your show's weird. Eighth place was Milford, and their show is entitled Hope. Very common theme here. They are using Hope by NF, and they mix it with Moonlight Sonata at the beginning. And I felt badly for them in prelims. They went on after Warren Central. So, two guards back to back using the same song. And they went on after Warren Central, who they're hosting the regional, so the crowd's already there for them. And then they killed their performance, which it was absolutely incredible. So the crowd is just going bananas for them, understandably so. I was going bananas for them. This show is amazing. And then they had to come out and perform after that. And it's just like, that's already an awkward position. Thankfully, of the four guards, that performed it, we had four different shows and four different takes. It wasn't like a bring it on situation for all the people my age. Remember the movie Bring It On, where it's like it's literally the same show, the same song, same choreography. No, a different take, but I did kind of feel bad for them. They had a beautiful floor of purple and blue and green, and they use a wall prop in the back left corner that has a doorway cut out and a small stage on the right side. And behind that little doorway prop, they have like some crazy bright light that they turn on and off. It lights up for different parts of the show. Like they turn it on, and even on the camera, I'm like, my God, that's bright. So I can't imagine the wattage on that thing. Hopefully they don't have any electrical issues at shows because that is super bright. They do have some nice moments. They're stronger than last year. I will say that they are stronger than last year. I feel it's a better show for them, so I feel like they're moving in the right direction. They really struggled last year with the transition to World, because they were third place 2 years ago in Open and got promoted to World, and last year was their first in World. So I do feel, this is a step in the right direction for them. They had some nice moments, especially with there's a green flag and rifle section that I really liked. And at the very end of their flag feature, there's this cool section where they do this like long phrase of choreography where they're holding on to the end of the pole and doing all the work from the end of the pole, which was nice. And I totally missed that there was a girl hiding behind the prop at the end of the show. So like they have a solo dancer body person at the end of the show that kind of ends the show, and she goes and sits on the small stage that's on the right side of the floor, and then this other performer pops up from behind it and embraces her. Because it's all about hope and everything like that. So I was like, oh, I didn't even see her sneak back there. So that was a cute little surprise. So I'm hoping the best for them. They can keep plugging along. Maybe they can sneak into finals. Scholastic World is a smaller class this year. So here's hoping for them. Seventh place was Bellbrook. Their show is called In the Spotlight, and they're using My Way by Celine Dion. And it's a nice dynamic song. I believe it was originally sung by Frank Sinatra. I don't know if his was a cover, but I believe that's the original version. It's got nice builds and drops that they can play with. They have five big spotlight circles on the floor. Otherwise, the rest of the floor is kind of like a deep purple color. And they're in these gorgeous blue uniforms, and they really play with the light and dark on the floor. Like they have white flags that are spinning in the white circles, and then they have like these darker blackish purple flags that are spinning not in the white spotlight circles, which is cool. It's a cool pickup on coloring of the floor. And it's a good decent show. There's nothing groundbreaking about this. This is one of those good old-fashioned color guard shows. They did a good job. They have some nice strong weapon moments. The flag feature is very nice. They've cleaned their flag feature. That double 45 with the turn under it, gorgeous. So I liked it. They'll continue to improve. They should be in finals, I think. I do expect this to make finals. Sixth place was Fishers, and they did Expressions of Eternity. And this floor is probably the most beautiful floor I saw the entire weekend. It is gorgeous. It is this blue galaxy like swirls. They have three swirls, one in the bottom left corner, one kind of back center, and then one off to the right rear. And it's a gorgeous floor. And then they take these cool like clock tower props. Like I think if you were staring at Big Ben, and then you chopped off just the clock face part and up, and then you cut it on a bias so it leans, and those sit on the floor. It's really cool. The setup is beautiful. They have three of those clocks in each of the swirls, and the uniforms are in a similar kind of sea foamy light blue color with something on the chest that I could not see because flow camera. And I'd say the highlight of the show is they have a very cool weapon replacement ripple. So somebody tosses and they run away, and somebody runs in behind them and catches their gun, right? And they do that for like a good 30 seconds. There's this part where the piano's just kind of like doo 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 doo, and they just keep going. And I'm like, my God, they're still going, because usually most cards will do it 4 or 5 times and that's the end of their moment. No, they did this probably 20, 21 times. Like they just kept going. So it was a very cool moment. Fifth place was Miamisburg, and their show's called Waste in Time, and they're doing a Sarah Bareilles version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. I liked this one, but for some reason the crowd didn't seem too into it. But the crowd was just kind of weird in general at this regional. Like there were times where they were just sitting on their hands, and then there were times where they were going bananas, and there didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. Maybe Flo was cutting out the crowd audio because they did do that a bit at Salem. So I don't know, but I felt like the crowd was dead for this one, and I have no idea why. I thought it was beautiful. They have a gorgeous floor. It's pink on the left side, and then kind of melds into most blue for a good chunk of the floor. And then when you get to the other edge on the right side, if you're looking at it, it turns into purple. And they're in the pretty pink costumes. They have like dock props, that are on wheels. Like if you're sitting on a pier and they connect them all together, so they look like a long pier, and then they move them out individually. They spin on them while they're moving, they spin on them while they're individual, they spin on them while they're all connected. I'm a little surprised this didn't do better with the judges. I would be interested to know why. Because I liked it. It really resonated with me. They have a nice silent feature on the left side of the floor at the end of the show. And I like how when they're on the purple side of the floor, they use purple flags. And when they're on the pink side of the floor, they use pink flags. I like that. It's a nice little nod to look. We're paying attention to the way our show's designed. And yeah, seriously, I'm not sure why this didn't score or place better. Maybe not place better, but score better. It's hard to justify moving up a whole place because this section of Scholastic World was tight, I feel. So I don't know. I liked it. Miamisburg, I liked it. So we had a tie for third place because, we got to keep things interesting. We can't make anything easy. Center Grove will do first because they were fourth in prelims. And I am a huge Center Grove fan. I have been a Center Grove fan for a long time. I'm an old time spinner. I have been obsessed with the mid to late 90s Center Grove shows. When they did Ode to Joy and when they did New Era Dance and when they did Rhapsody in Blue, like I loved all of these shows. And I remember when I was marching cavies, we got to stay at Center Grove High School and I thought I was at Buckingham Palace. I was walking around like I am in the Center Grove High School. It was just I was fangirling all over the place. I told you I'm a huge color guard nerd. I am. But I loved this. I am so happy that they are bouncing back. There's a big jump for them this year, because they were 15th in finals last year. And they have a dark red, almost black floor with a big gold section taking up most of the middle of the floor. And it honestly, it looks shaped like a flag. I think that's the intent. And then you can see the letters in like they're all capitalized, kind of like almost like in a Roman numeral kind of font that spell out all, ALL, all over it. They open the show with a very cool silent feature, but there's no like starter ding. So I wonder if the staff is literally just standing on the side of the floor with their finger over the play button, waiting for the catch to happen, and they hit play. Um, which would be kind of weird if there's any kind of audio delay there. But they look really good this year. I am happy to see them doing better and moving up. They do a lot of cool features. They have sections where they'll have people spinning a flag and a weapon at the same time, and I mean like they're actually spinning both. They're not just holding the rifle in a cradle while they spin the flag or vice versa. No, they are spinning the gun or the saber and the flag. It's really cool, and they do it a few times. I really liked this one. I'm very happy for them. If I were to give any feedback, I feel like maybe the show could use a color change because they just use the one silk throughout the whole show. But I'm not a world class designer. They know what they're doing. But for me, I just felt like I could use a color change in it because I feel like there is a mood change in the music and I don't get that visually. But I mean, that's really my only critique. The other guard tied for third was Northview. They were third in prelims, and their show is called I Want You to Get Together. And this is a jazzy musical mix of Take Five and some other songs. And, there's lyrics that say, I want you to get together and I want you to put your hands together. I don't know the song. I'll have to do some research on it. They have like this big avocado green floor with some blue circles on them and then some white circles in the back. There's 16 white circles in the back right corner, and each performer has a built platform. It's a circle and it's green. It's that same like avocado green on one side and white on the other. They're in solid white uniforms and shoes, which I thought was interesting. The fact they were in shoes. And this is great. I love Northview. I love their shows. I've loved them for a long time. And they're fairly clean right now. I don't know what they do to beef things up or what to improve. Maybe their equipment vocabulary. I'd have to go and look at the recap. I think they might have been a little lower in equipment. um, they have some great moments. They use the platforms a lot. They roll them across the floor and then they'll run and roll on them like with their stomach and then keep rolling off the edge and into splits and do kind of crazy things. The flag feature, they're flat on the ground, they're standing on, and they get down and they're spinning, and then they put one hand down and do like this, like one-handed, like matrix style cartwheel. Like the wheel, their feet don't go up vertically, they go horizontally and twirl the flag over their head while they do it. And then they throw this, then they stand the prop up, and then they throw this 45 toss and they flip the prop around real quick to flip it to the other color and then catch the flag. It's really cool. It's well done. It's fairly clean. They have a dancer who kills it in the back corner. She does this jump where she practically kicks herself in the back of the head because of her stretch. I love Northview. I loved you last year. I loved you the year before that. And the year before that, I loved you in 1998. Like, I love Northview. Second place was Carmel, and they are doing Goodnight Moon. I'm pretty sure it's Eric Whitaker that put this together. And I'm going to be honest, I love Carmel High School. I do. I hate this song. And that made this a hard watch. This is nothing against the guard. I promise you. It's just, how you just have that artist you just can't stand. I have a friend that cannot stand Kelly Clarkson for some reason. So anytime a Kelly Clarkson song would come on the radio, she'd have to shut it off. Just one of those just like triggering things. This song is that for me. I remember when Fusion did this like 3 years ago, they did a version of this. And so it was a tough watch for me. I've read this book so many times. Like I said, I have two kids, and this was my daughter's favorite book from the time she was 18 months old to almost 3. We read it almost every single night. So that's kind of my reasoning for the hate behind the song, just because I'm like, I'm so tired of this book. I'm so tired of there was a telephone and a red balloon. Like, I'm so tired of it. But I will say, outside of my bias, Carmel always puts out a quality product. It is a quality show. They have these big, huge crescent props all over the floor, and they use them well. They use them, like a flat stage. They stand them up and they swing them back and forth, and they stand in them, they toss, and they're very creative. I expect that from Carmel, and they're very technical, once again, as expected from Carmel. I will say it feels like a different vibe for them, which I'm not mad at. Like I said, I love when guards do something different. This just doesn't feel like a traditional Carmel show. It's different from last year and the year before that, but those two I felt kind of had a similar feel to them. This feels like a big step in a different direction. So they're going to continue to polish and get better. Their rifles had a tough run on Sunday, and they'll get better. They are probably one of the best guards out there technically. They always have been. Especially when Rosie Queen was there. Just I don't know how she gets these kids to spin this way. I would love to pick her brain. Um, that's a sidebar. But they're going to continue to polish and get better, and we're going to see the high quality standard at Dayton that we always get from Carmel. So no doubt there. Let's move on to first place. So this is Warren Central. So Warren Central is actually second after prelims, and this show is everything. I am obsessed with this show. I'm already almost 50 minutes in at this point. I could talk for an hour about this show. I really could. It's a 5-minute show that I'm utterly obsessed with. This is my Avon of this year. And what I mean by that is I saw Avon last year at this regional. They came out and I was like, wow. I'm like, they're going to win. This is the best show of the year. I'm in love with this. I'm obsessed with this. I don't need to see anybody else. No disrespect to anybody, but Avon is winning. I love this show. I essentially have the same view this year. I'm not going to deem them that they're going to win, but this is my favorite show of the year. Like I am utterly obsessed with it. They use Hope by NF like everybody else, but they just have the best take on it to me. I don't know what it is. Um, they're in these sleek black uniforms. The floor is mostly white. It marbles out to gray and black at the very edges, and they have like these cherry colored, like cherry wood, not cherry red, but cherry wood benches that sit on the diagonal. They don't move. They don't move the benches. They don't move the props. They're stationary. All the equipment is inside the benches. And it's just amazing. And I have to give them a massive shout out because they had a musical issue at the beginning. They said, WGI's Sport of the Arts is proud to present Warren Central High School. And then nothing. And still nothing. And there was a big delay with their music. Obviously, there was a tech issue. And, being the stalwart professionals they are, they kept it together and they still put on a great show because we've seen that happen. And guards can tend to fall apart after that because their nerves get rattled. They're like, oh my God, why isn't the music starting? Why isn't the music starting? That didn't happen here. It's such a cool show. I love it. I feel like they just I don't know, they pick up on the syncopation in the rap, and I think that's really part of it. Like, I feel like they in the design process, they're like, "This is a rap song, and we are going to make sure we are hitting the beats and the flow of the rap." And it you notice it across various parts of the show. There's a section in the middle, I don't know the words, but it goes like, "D d d d d d d," like that, and they have a couple people that are like high stepping dancing to that beat, like to the next bench. Like it just lines up so perfectly. They have an opening rifle sit turn ripple. They all throw a six and then roll into the ground and catch it, and they all just nailed it all the way down to the front corner. And then, after that big hit, a piano starts just going doot 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 like that. And they have one girl on a purple flag in the back corner just doing drop spins to the piano, and she is the piano line. And it's so stupid and so simple, yet so genius. Like, it's like she's just cranking out drop spins back there, but it works because you have the entire rest of the color guard on rifle picking up the lyrics and the voice, and you just have this steady piano just ticking over in the corner. It's so good. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. They have this double time feature that everybody's seen. It's probably has to be WGI's most watched reel at this point. You've seen like the six rifles and they're doing double time. And like every two counts, they're changing their body position. One girl goes down on one knee, then the other knee, then she gets back up, and the other people are doing like a four starch. And they're giving all this face and all this mug. And it's just like, attitude. This is going to kill at Dayton. Like, seriously, this is going to be bonkers at Dayton. I cannot wait to see this the next televised regional they're at. I think I have to double check this. I think they're going to Bethlehem, and I'm going to lose my ever loving mind if I get to see this in person. I'm just this is my show. Like, no disrespect to the people I haven't seen yet, like Arcadia or Woodlands or anything like that. Well, I have seen them. I've seen videos of them, and y'all, they ain't playing around either. Um, I know we don't have Avon or Tarpon at Dayton this year, but Scholastic World is going to be crazy. Like, from what I've seen, we're going to be fed no matter what. But yeah, Warren Central, congrats to you. It is a great show. I love it so much. Outside of your parents and maybe your band people or whatever, I'm your number one fan. I love this show so much. And I'm going to stop talking about it because, yeah, like I said, I could be here for an hour just gushing about this. If you haven't seen it, it is on YouTube. Go find it before it gets ripped down. Please go watch it. Let's move on to Independent World. We have four guards left. Fourth place was Elevate, and their show is called In All Fairness, I believe. And it is a World's Fair show. They have like the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s. I think the World's Fair was like, what, like 1910s, 1920s ish. It reads kind of like a saloon almost with that like brown feel and whatnot, and the music. And they are very engaged with the audience. Like, they're coming out during setup and they are engaging with the crowd right away. Um, which I love. I love entertainment. I love being entertained. I love guards that interact with the audience, that get the audience involved, that they're not just there to, perform a show. Think of like AMP. I'm not speaking for them, but my viewpoint of AMP is that they take entertainment value very seriously in their show design. And I feel like Elevate is doing the same thing here. The highlight of the show is definitely, you've seen the TikTok and the reel of it, of the guy jumping off of the bridge, sort of front flipping. He kind of flips on a 45 to catch his gun. Like, he tosses like a 7 off of this raised bridge. He literally does a front flip off of the bridge down to the main floor and catches it. And he cracks it in both prelims and finals. There is a lot of talent on this guard. And that's what I was mentioning earlier with, skill level, is they have talented spinners. I do feel the show is a bit stagnant and one note at times. It needs some variety. But it's not bad. It's a fun show, and I would happily pay money to see it. So I was entertained. So keep on keeping on, keep improving, and yeah, maybe we'll make it to finals. Independent World Finals is cutthroat. I think there's 30 guards registered for finals, and only 15 get in. So that means 15 of y'all are not making it, and that's tough. That is tough in this level of competition. I mean, I know Scholastic A has it the worst. Only one. We have a 1 in 7 chance of getting in. In Independent World, you have a 50%, 1 in 2, but still, it's the bottom of world class is just bloodbath to get into those 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 spots. Third place by, I believe, just a tenth, super close, was Juxtaposition. They're the fourth guard that are using Hope. And one thing's for certain we can say about Juxtaposition: they know how to put on a pre-show. Their pre-show last year was one of my favorite things of Dayton. The amount of times I walked around my house going, "You ain't no celebrity, honey," and over and over and over. I mean, I just, yeah, they know how to put on a pre-show. They are not using just the song though. They mix it with others. So you get a little reprieve from it, which is nice, because as much as you can love a song, if what I think is going to happen happens at Dayton, we're going to hear this song a lot, and we're all going to be fried by the time World Finals comes along. Um, their floor is super dark with faint red lines, and they have bright red uniforms. Some highlights, like they have this super cool like a mountain climber body feature while the guns are moving through them. So like the people not spinning, they're down on the ground, and they're kind of like doing like a mountain climber thing. If you've ever seen Center Grove 1997, the Ode to Joy show, they're doing that. And the rifles are kind of spinning and kind of moving quickly in between them. They have fabric backdrops that they pull up on poles and kind of cut the floor off into different sections. So there's one black one that with all these red lines come over that they pull up on a 45 on the right side of the floor, and then they spin in front of that and they drop it. And then there's people under red pieces of fabric there. Then they have a giant black flyover that comes from the back of the floor, that's on T-poles, and then that just becomes a big backdrop along the back of the floor. The middle of the show, they switch into "The Moment I Said It" from Imogen Heap, which was a big color guard song years ago. And they kinda use that. I don't wanna call it the ballad section because it's not super slow, but that's where the part's going, "Don't, smash." That's the song. So if you didn't know what that was, it's called "The Moment I Said It." Yeah, and then they finish at the front of the floor. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I do like last year more. At this point, I would say I liked last year more. They have a lot of people on the floor, and it looks like it. And I think that's what my block is, because you watch other shows that have a lot of people, but it doesn't feel like it. This show just feels cramped, and I don't know why. They have lots of time to, make some changes, make things better and whatnot. They still put on a hell of a show. There's no denying that. So we'll see them again in a few weeks. All of these guards are back in like 3 weeks at the Avon Regional. So we're going to see almost this exact same lineup in Open and World. I think Scholastic World brings in Norwin and Kiski, but these four independent World guards are here, and the other nine plus two more Scholastic World guards are all at the Avon Regional in like 3 weeks. So we'll see how it all changes up there. Second place was Onyx, and I believe their show title is Elena. I believe that's what I heard. And I'm assuming it's about an artist. I don't know what this is about. Onyx's shows have always gone over my head. I am that person that just doesn't get it. And I openly admit that every year. I'm like, I don't get this. I don't get this. I don't get this. They have a plain white floor and they're in plain black uniforms. And they're kind of back to what we expect from Onyx. Just that very familiar Onyx style. They use an actual song this year, thankfully. It's not that repetitive piano from last year. And they pull out midway through the show, three of the performers switch to a black flag with a red daisy on it, I think. That's what it looks like. And they're featured for a long time before the rest of the guard joins them with the same flag. And what it is kind of cool, they give the flags to the performers and they form this spiral on the floor. They start by forming in the front center, and it looks like they're building a circle, but they end up building a full spiral. And as they get to their spot, the flags are completely rolled up, and they start slowly unrolling them with their hands. So the silk just kind of keeps appearing more and more and more, and it happens in a ripple. So you have this cool design of flags slowly opening all the way around the form, and then they do this super long like statement ripple, which has a cool effect. So like, they start with one performer and literally go all the way around through all like 26 of them, doing this like 64 count phrase. And then once they finish, they stop. So it takes a long time to get to completion. And then as soon as the last person hits, then they continue on to the flag feature. So it's a cool effect. Um, I'll be honest, Onyx's style doesn't really suit me. So, I respect them. They put in a lot of hard work. They've done a lot for the sport and WGI as a whole. So I'm very respectful of them. Their style is just not my personal favorite. So we'll see where they go with this. I do think Juxtaposition will pass them as the season goes on because they're already super close. And then lastly, first place, Pride of Cincinnati. And, as expected, this is so well done. So well done. The floor, oddly enough, they have a full floor, but it has a circle printed on that takes up, three-quarters of the floor. But the entire show takes place within the circle. They do not leave the circle. Their uniforms are covered up and they remove them throughout the show for the most part very strategically. There were a couple times where I felt like I was being mooned by a couple people while they were being depanted. So maybe on the very freak chance that the Pride of Cincinnati people hear this, you might want to take a look at that because I just happened to, get a face full of butt while somebody was trying to take off their pants. Not actual butt, but they had the uniform underneath. But, it's so well done, and my biggest takeaway from this whole thing is how they do so much in such a small space, and it doesn't feel cramped or tight. I counted, they have 36 performers on the floor, and those 36 performers do not leave that circle. It is exquisitely designed. I'm sure Michael Gaines is involved in this because he has to be, just because of how well it is done. And, he's consistently worked with Pride through the years. As you've seen in the reels and TikToks and stuff they've posted, they strip people as they're spinning. They have a big saber line toss, and then, they have people that, rip off the pants and pull off the jacket of the people tossing. There's a really cool flag feature that just kinda comes out of nowhere, like, it just pops about a surprise, like, they have some flags on the floor, and then all of a sudden, bam, like, everybody has a flag except for, like, 6 Guns, who, as soon as, like, the ensemble toss happens, does a triple turn under a toss, and, the lyrics are going again and again and again, like, that's what they say, and they do this triple turn again and again and again, like, each again is a turn. So good. It's very good, y'all, and, it's everything you would expect from a Pride show. I'm sure everybody has seen this one. This one's probably all over YouTube. I fully expect everybody to see this. It is very good. It's innovative. There's innovative design, innovative equipment, big effects. The guard slowly disrobes to reveal to the gorgeous team uniforms underneath. And like I said, mostly it's done discreetly and very innovatively. Like it's not just somebody going to the edge of the floor and pulling off a jacket, other than the one point where the people pull off their pants. So take a look at that, guys, please. That's like the one critique I have of your show. And it's maybe just because I happened to look at these couple performers and I was like, oh, look, there's their butt. So I fully expect this to medal at Dayton. I do. Now that I've seen it, I would be shocked if this does not medal. The rankings are out, and everybody's super tight, but the rankings mean nothing. I mean, we're going to learn a lot more in 3 weeks when all these guards come back out. So who knows what's going to happen? I kind of rushed through some of these just because on my screen, I'm already at an hour 15 before editing. So, I really try to keep these under an hour. This one's clearly going to go over. Next week is probably going to be the last regional I'm going to cover. There's 2 televised regional. There's one in Texas and one in South Carolina. And for the most part, that's going to be everybody will see. Because I don't know when the next California one is, so I don't know when I'm gonna get to see Arcadia, El Dorado, Fantasia, Vox Artium, all of them. So, the season is really ramping up, and so we have Paramount and Etude that are coming out this week in South Carolina, and then The Woodlands is premiering down in Texas. So we'll definitely talk about them. I'm not going to do a full regional recap because I cannot watch both. I cannot do both. So we'll probably pick just from the definitely the worlds, and maybe cherry pick some guards on both sides, see what I can go over, and that'll probably be my last regional recap. Because by then we'd have seen everybody, and then there's no point in me rehashing everything I just said about Pride. Right? Pride's out. We've talked about it. Unless there's some like major change, I may briefly go over that, but that's kind of it. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for sitting through this. Thank you for all of the positive feedback. I'm still new to this podcasting thing, and I'm working through kinks, and I'm trying to turn out good material and good products for you all. I have other episodes I want to pull out, but I just kind of gotten sidetracked with these regionals because I really wanted to get these out for everyone. So I will be back next week with my final regional recap. And that'll probably be my last recap and reaction until we get to Dayton, where we'll cover all the finalists, and I'll have some friends on to do that. So I wanted to do that by myself. And that's about it. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate you being here. Please tell your friends that the podcast is here to come and spend time with me and with us. Let me know what you think on Instagram and Blue Sky. I'm not as active on Blue Sky, but I am fairly active on Instagram. So if you message me there, I will get back to you. If you have show ideas you think topics I should cover, let me know. If you're a director out there and you want to talk about your program like I did with James Madison University, let me know. I'm happy to sit down with people if it's fitting. And yeah, thank you so much. Everybody have a great week. Get back in the gym, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Good luck if you're going out this weekend at the regional. And I will catch you all next week. So until then, stay safe, stay fabulous. And remember, at the end of the day, it's just flags in a gym.